Good morning. Globally, the big storyline is how politics, conflict and technology are colliding with markets and institutions. On artificial intelligence and the technological revolution, the Financial Times argues an AI-based world order is emerging, with access to compute, data and talent increasingly shaping national advantage and investment returns. The practical implication for governments and markets is that AI capability is becoming strategic infrastructure, not just a productivity tool, and it is likely to keep driving capital allocation, industrial policy and competition settings. In the global economy, Europe's industrial restructuring remains in focus. Volkswagen is facing a brutal jobs cull, and the scale of the squeeze is now raising the prospect of asset sales to fund a broader turnaround. That's a reminder that higher costs, slower demand and the transition pressures in manufacturing are still forcing hard decisions across major economies. On global conflict, the BBC reports the US says it has agreed to stand down after an exchange of strikes with Iran, following a weekend of attacks and mutual accusations of ceasefire violations. Separately, Al Jazeera reports a new Israeli assault in southern Syria has forced families to flee, with Turkey condemning the strikes as a breach of international law. And the conversation highlights a UN report detailing the overwhelming scale of children killed in Gaza, raising grave legal questions, including potential war crimes implications, if deliberate targeting is substantiated. In the United States, institutional independence is back in the headlines. The Financial Times reports the Supreme Court has blocked President Donald Trump from sacking Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, a decision that protects the Fed's independence even as other agencies may face different standards. The court also declined to hear Trump's final bid to overturn the E. Jean Carroll verdict, meaning the $5 million damages award stands. Turning to Australia, the policy agenda is tightening around regulation, integrity and platform accountability. The federal government has vowed a crackdown on the sale of off-the-shelf and dis-shell companies, aiming to curb a growing trade that can be used to exploit the scheme. Labor also wants to double fines for social media companies that fail to hand over documents relevant to enforcing Australia's social media age ban. But the conversation cautions that bigger penalties alone may not be enough without broader legislation. On the Australian economy, SBS reports a new scheme offering some households 3 hours of free electricity each day from Wednesday, even without rooftop solar, which will be watched closely as a cost of living measure and as a signal of how governments are trying to reshape demand and energy affordability. In politics and the public debate, SBS reports One Nation's rise is heartening Australia's migration discussion, influencing both community sentiment and decisions by people offshore watching Australia's direction. The Conversation's view from the Hill says the Liberals are increasingly wedged by polling dynamics, suggesting internal strategy and positioning will remain a live issue. For markets and corporate conduct, ABC reports RS Rewards, one of Australia's biggest rewards clubs, has been banned from running any gaming activity in New South Wales for 18 months amid allegations of ongoing and misleading conduct. That's a notable enforcement move in the consumer and gaming adjacent space. Locally in health and services, ABC reports concerns around a trial designed to ease pressure on a public emergency department, with questions about whether a large private operator could cherry-pick private patients from the public system. And in Victoria, The Guardian reports an inquest is examining the death of a Melbourne woman following a non-medically assisted home birth, shining a light on unregulated birth support and the risks of free birth practices. That's the latest on the material developments to start the day.